I'm Amy, sex educator, sex and relationship coach, and sex shop owner.
And I'm April, VP of an international high-end pleasure products company and boss queen sex toy mogul. We're best friends who make our own rules about who we are as sexual beings.
With everything from how to be a badass in the bedroom to top tips for bringing your relationship to the next level, we have something just for you.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.
You are listening to a pleasure podcast. For more from our sex podcast collective, visit pleasurepodcasts.com.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the Shameless Sex Podcast. This is Amy and April. If you're new, and a lot of you aren't, I'm pretty sure we have a ton of repeat people, which is great. That means you love us.
And a lot of people are telling us that I tell all my friends, I tell my coworkers, I tell my mom,
I tell my grandma.
I'm loving that. I'm just loving that. I tell my grandma.
Keep on spreading
Although
the good
grandma's
word.
like, what? Why? What is a podcast?
Yeah.
I was sitting next to someone at the airport yesterday in Chicago coming back, flying back to San Jose. This person was like 66, I think he said, and never been married, never had kids. And I was like, do you listen to podcasts? And because he was talking about his dating experiences, which were really funny. And he then started hitting on me, and I was like, well, here you go. Now you can know all about me, and I'm partnered, but this is your best. He's like, I'm going to start listening to podcasts. So I got us a new listener yesterday.
Nice. Well, hey,
Organic way.
I mean, if you're listening right now, you hit on April in the airport.
He bought me some wine.
Nice. People buy you wine often in the airport.
I'm pretty sure he just wanted me to hang out longer because I was about to go, and it was a $27 glass of wine. So I was like, yeah, that's on you. Cool.
All right. I wonder how many people would hit on you and then you tell them about the podcast and then they actually listen, if they would actually pursue you after, or with the likelihood of them actually being somewhat intimidated, because that is something that comes up with, at least for me in the dating world in the past, is that folks have been intimidated about what I do because they think I'm into everything and I must be so experienced and so wild and crazy, poly, queer, kinky, all the things. And then some folks are really into it. But I wonder if that person now would still hit you up and be like, so, hey, how about that day? That would show confidence.
I feel like this particular person probably would. He had a lot of confidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe do you think it was the wine?
He was drinking beer.
It was a beer.
Chicago.
Why not? Okay, so everyone, this episode is from the satisfied mama herself, Dana B. Meyers. She's also owner of Booty Parlor. This is for all the mamas to be. This is coming out actually before Mother's Day. Mother's Day, from the release day of this episode, Mother's Day will be in 2 weeks. So that's why we chose the timing for this episode for y'all's. And for Mother's Day, well, what are some good gift ideas for mom? Let's see. What about OMGS for mom? Or
that is a good idea. OMGS.
I have an idea, because you actually talked about giving that to your mom, having your mom watch it. We were talking about it when we were in Hawaii with our moms, actually. My mom has definitely already watched it. But if you're a partner of someone who is a vulva owner, or maybe a mom or a mom-to-be, maybe you get OMGS for the two of you. You watch together, and then you try some techniques that you learn to pamper their body, this mama-to-be, this lovely vulva owner that you admire so much, with the new techniques that you learn. Or you can just gift it to someone. It's a wonderful program. It's all about sexual pleasure.
I should give it to my grandma, because my grandfather died a year and a half ago, and I bet she's not getting in touch with herself.
And she's a grandma.
And she's on her iPad all the time.
Oh, and she could do it has the modules.
She'll love that.
The touch techniques with her finger. Oh my God.
And they came out with season 2, which I started watching at the airport the other day.
Yep.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Because people around me were like, brr.
Yeah.
But it's so tasteful that it's
well done.
It looks like I was watching a beautiful docuseries. It didn't look like porn at all. It looks great.
Yeah, it's really, really well done. Season 1's all about external vulva pleasure. Season 2 is internal pleasure, G-spot, etc. And it's all about these really tasteful videos that with real humans that are saying, this is the pleasure that I have. This is how I learned to have it. And these are the techniques that I use to have my orgasms or my pleasure. And then you get to watch and learn and try things at home or on partners and expand the menu for even more orgasms or more connection or more juiciness. To learn more, go to omgs.com/shameless, and our listeners get $5 off. It's a game changer, life-changing. And by the way, when this episode is going out on the 30th, we have a couple things coming up. One, Masturbation May.
Oh, yeah.
Go to our Instagram and go and check out this self-pleasure 30-day challenge that we're doing for Masturbation May. There's a huge grand prize that's worth over $1,000, and we are promoting a 30-day challenge where anyone can join. This isn't just for vulva owners, and you have a 10-minute minimum a day self-pleasure practice. So I won't go too deep into it. Go to our Instagram, follow us at Shameless Sex Podcast, and join the Shameless Sex Revolution. That's super exciting. April and I are going to be participating too.
It's true.
Are you ready for that?
I am ready for that. And plus, I'm doing the vulva mapping with Dolly as well.
That's exciting.
Which is in the middle of the month. I think that will also help me kind of tune into what I am experiencing with her. And I am a little sick today, so my voice is funny. It's like really shaky.
Yeah. You're holding it together though.
So I'm a little out of it. I was like, but
because that's perfect timing for Masturbation May. And then Dolly is actually coming. So we did the podcast, the vulva mapping one. I think we called it Awakening the Pussy. It was an episode or two ago. She's coming to Santa Cruz. If you're in Santa Cruz or the Bay Area and you love that episode, or go listen if you don't know what we're talking about. She's a sexological body worker, and she's actually coming to Santa Cruz to do a workshop. It is a 2-series workshop where she is going to do a lecture in the beginning with a live hot demo on how to pleasure the vulva, how to do vulva mapping to find where the pleasure is, where the numbness is, where the sensations may be. And then the second part is for partners to practice on each other, meaning actually it's not on each other, it's the one person touches the vulva owner. If they're both vulva owners, that's fine too. But one of the vulvas gets mapped by a partner in it. So this is on May 16th. This is at Pure Pleasure Shop. Go to purepleasureshop.com to learn more.
There's probably not a lot of space either for that.
It's selling quickly.
So get your ticket.
Get your ticket. Other Mother's Day ideas.
Mother's Day. When is Mother's Day this year? May 12th.
I think so.
So
always on a Sunday.
It is always on a Sunday. And you could give the gift of Blue Boutique, which go to blueboutique.com and you could buy your mom anything. Toys, books, lingerie, something cute to wear, or even some like nice aphrodisiac style perfume. Or maybe just give your mom some butt plugs.
Oh yeah,
that's what my mom's getting. This is a spoiler alert.
Your mom's getting a butt plug. Is your mom listening? Mom, you're getting a big old what size butt plug are we going for?
Small.
Maybe the kit with small, medium, large, extra large, and she can work her way up. Mom.
Fun Factory.
I almost said her name.
Fun Factory has a great kit. You can go to blueboutique.com, use the code shameless20, and they're giving you 20% off only for Shameless Sex listeners. They've never done that before. They'll probably never do it again. So if you're listening to this and you need a gift for your mom, just know your mom's address and they can probably drop ship it for you right there.
Awesome. And it's Shameless20. I'm sorry. Yes. Shameless20, blueboutique.com. Go get it. Go shopping. Get all the things.
Buy that book. You can buy books. They've got all the things on there.
And then the last one, too, that we talk about all the time is good old Uber Lube, which I assume that they have on Blue Boutique's website. And if you go to uberlube.com, you get 10% off and free shipping. Uber Lube isn't just for Mother's Day, everyone. I personally think everyone should own Uber Lube. Yeah, I just shoulded you. But it's for all bodies. It's for all occasions. It's one of those lubricants that you try and you're like, I had no idea lube could be this good. This is lubricant.
Can I tell a quick story?
What'd you do?
So it was my partner's parents' 51st wedding anniversary, and they came over the other day, and I gave them Uber Lube and a toy, and I was like, you two go enjoy your anniversary. What are you doing here? And they're like, what is Uber Lube? So I explained it to them, and they thought, you know what? My partner's father said, hey, I won't say her name. Mom, this isn't lotion, even though it looks like it. And I was like, it's working.
Yeah.
He's like, but we could leave this out on the nightstand. I was like, exactly. That's the point.
That's the whole thing.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's super discreet. It's a beautiful bottle. But it's all about the ingredients on the inside, but it's great for all kinds of sex and intimacy. You can even use it for massage. There's no flavor, no scent. Doctors are recommending it because it actually moisturizes the skin. It's a game changer.
It's easy to pump out too if you're mid-action. A lot of them, the flip tops, I hate those that you have to like squeeze.
Oh my God, they drive me crazy.
It's like
I
a
always
shampoo
make a
bottle.
mess.
Me too.
I make a huge
and they
mess.
get all over. This is just an easy pump top, and they're in their 70s. So I'm gonna get feedback because I've been gone since then. But I'm gonna get feedback.
Hey, partners, parents, how was the banging last night?
Yes, I will.
How was the midnight bang?
I did say, will you just try anal? And they're like, we've already done that.
Oh, really?
I like them.
God, I love this. This is a great relationship that you have with them.
I'm just totally open with it.
I really love your style.
His mom has dementia, so she'll forget that I ever asked that. So
yeah, well, so then you can ask it again and again.
I know
and
exactly.
again.
How was that anal?
And she's like, well, so about that, here we go again. Let me tell you these things. Okay, and then I had before we go in to read the bio for this podcast, there's something I need to tell you too.
Ooh, what's up?
And listeners, it's very interesting news.
Ooh,
I'm single.
Are you single?
She doesn't know yet. That's what I whispered to our housemate. I was like, don't tell her because I'm going to tell her on the air for her first time.
That's so funny because I did have a feeling. I actually had a feeling. I'm tuned into you.
You had a feeling.
And I've been traveling, so I haven't had a chance to actually connect with you because I've been in meetings.
Since last night.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh. It's brand new.
It's going to be wild and crazy anytime.
No. And I say I'm single because it's interesting because it doesn't necessarily feel that way. So this is what came up for me. My partner and I have been having some stuff. It comes out of nowhere. There's a pattern that we have that happens every 5 years. And if you would have talked to me like 4 days ago, if I was saying this on the air, I probably would have been really angry and upset because there's a lot that is between both of us, and it always is. And a lot of it seems like some old wounding that is his work to do. And there's some stuff that is, of course, mine. I'm not going to say that it's not. And I had this shame come up when I thought about, I kind of knew that this was going to happen, that it was time. We've had many rounds of this, but I've never felt this readiness to separate. Every time I've always had this attachment, and I knew that this round was feeling different. And I thought on the air when I was going to share this, it would actually be a shame share because he just came on an episode on here in February when we were talking about all the work that we've done.
It was a great episode. Yeah,
and to get to the place that we're on and the communication and how things have changed, and that was really beautiful. And then Nicola and I do a recording where we're talking. She's our therapist, and she's talking about how proud she is of us and how we've done all this work to get to where we are. And so there was a little bit of this shame piece of we just we weren't portraying ourselves. This was true then, as this we're doing so well, and we have this deep connected relationship where we communicate so lovingly and clearly, and none of that is a lie at all. And with that, we have some patterns. We've been through a lot, and one of the patterns that we have is this repeat thing where he's constantly feeling. It'll come out of nowhere. It'll literally be overnight. He'll be like, I'm not being met, and there's so much more to it. I'm not going too much into those details, but we've been through many rounds of that, and it's involved a lot of things that have been hard and hurtful and scary. And then I moved through it though, and this is the other thing I thought I was going to need to do. In past breakups, I've needed to heal. I've needed to actually cut off all ties with the person so I can have my own space to heal. But I'm realizing that is when I am still hoping that they'll change and that there is hope for the relationship. And I've heard of the conscious uncoupling, which is a term, I forgot the author, but there's a woman, just if you look up conscious uncoupling, you'll find, I hope to have her on the podcast actually, she wrote a book called Conscious Uncoupling, and Gwyneth Paltrow actually talks about it, and people think it's her term. It's someone else's. Okay. And it's about a lovingly conscious choice to separate and go separate directions. And I've heard that, and I've always been like, how do people do that? I don't fucking get it. I'm not going to be able to do that. And 3 days ago, I thought that wouldn't be possible because I was also really angry because I was like, it's here again. Like, this shit is fucking here again. We're doing this again. And then I came into compassion because I know that why it's here again is beyond him. And, that he's not actually choosing to wherever we're at right now, that I won't get into too much detail, but he's not making choices around this, that it's really hard for him. And it's hard for me. And I'm tired. I'm exhausted of feeling like I need to prove myself that I'm meeting him. And he's exhausted by constantly by feeling like I'm not meeting him, but knowing that a lot of it is his own stuff. And we talked yesterday and I just said, essentially it seems like it's time for us to change the arrangement in our relationship that's been this constant off and on romantic partnership, and that something there needs to change, and it seems that it's stepping away from or moving forward down a different direction of how we are in relationship with each other, and it's not in a committed partnership. And he had tears, and he was just like, you deserve to be treated like a queen all the time. And I know that I haven't always done that. And it's been so frustrating for me when I haven't. That's like, I really want that for you. And I really want to give that to you. And I just don't know how at times. And because there's some old stuff there. And it felt really, really good and really clean in this way where we are no longer life partners. We are not, and I can honestly say that I am not attached to anything changing, to us getting back together again. I'm not sitting here waiting. I'm not hoping. I'm actually in this place of really finally, for the first time in our 5.5 years, feeling like I'm completely open. And of course we both love each other so much. And there still is romantic love there and deep intimacy. And not set on anything, and I'm not close to anything. I'm not set anything. I'm not waiting. I'm not hoping. I'm not doing this so I can just go be with other people. I actually don't really have desire to have sex with anyone else at this point right now. That'll probably change, but right now it's not a leading drive. It's like a relief of like, spaciousness. And also once, it's so interesting, last time, once we took the partnership off the table, the title, our systems just dropped in the sweetest, most loving intimacy with each other. We didn't have sex or anything, but we just, we were looking at each other in this different light. And it wasn't this like, oh, wait, maybe now we can be back together. It wasn't that whole thing that people do once I lost you, now I want you. It wasn't that. It was like, oh, there you are. This sweet being that I love and that I know loves me. And we're not letting that go or losing that, but we're just not partners.
I think it's courageous and so, I think hopefully helpful to a lot of folks to know that breakups don't have to be this toxic blowout where you hate each other and you don't talk to each other. And also it's important to note that your needs aren't being met, his needs aren't being met. You're not staying in it because of the comfort or the being afraid to be alone, the fear. You're choosing yourself and what your needs are. That's the hardest thing. I think, okay, aside if there's a big blowout and you're like the fuck you kind of thing, which is easy, right? To walk away when you're angry. The hardest part is the comfort of and security in having a partner and then realizing that, okay, it's not that you want something better or different right now. It's just that your needs aren't being met. And I think it takes a lot of maturity and strength on both of your ends to walk away in a way that is unexpected. I would think that it would take longer for that, right? To reach that point. So I'm really happy to hear this news, especially if you're feeling this way about it and it's not breaking you down or, you're not in some super sad, despairingly terrible place, which has happened before. It's happened to me before, right? So I'm feeling like I want to say congratulations in a nice way.
Thanks. Yeah. You're like, what do I say to that?
Well, that's like when I told people I was getting divorced, like, I'm so sorry. I was like, you should say congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm moving on with my life.
Or ask them a question. How is that for you? Is that challenging? Is it feeling really good? for me, I called you when shit hit the fan last week, and what I do when things get really hard is I reach out. I'm not like I'm gonna go hide in a little hole. I'm like, I'm calling everyone and I'm telling them I need help.
Yeah.
And then I was going through the anxiety, through the fear of the aloneness, through the loss. Am I going to be able to do this? Am I ready for this? And then didn't speak to him for 4 days,
right.
And spent time with friends, spent time journaling, a lot of meditating, a lot of processing and getting really, really clear and connecting to me. And I think that that was really important. And so I've gone through all the motions. It's not to say there hasn't been sadness and that there hasn't been fear and that it might change, right? Right now I'm feeling really, really clear. And in 2 weeks, I might be super anxious. I might be super sad. And so this is part of the thing that we're committing to. And the conscious part is that we're going to take it day by day. We'll still be in each other's lives. We're not going to be building a relationship and spending the same time that we've been spending together,
right.
And having those same expectations. And we are also, when we do spend time together, we really have to check in about it. Like, what's here is one of us feeling that attachment. If I start to go into that hopefulness of like, oh, maybe there is a chance, which I'm not at all right now. I feel oddly, it's so surprising how removed I am from that. But if I did go there, because things can change, then I probably would need to step away further. And so it's so us how we would do things though, because we're so not traditional. It's kind of like how we got together, honestly. It was a flow.
I think something that is really important in breakups, and I know there's different levels and people, they get really bonded and they have children, they have all of these things, and it makes it really difficult to walk away. Taking the time apart is some of the most powerful, where there's no communication and you can really sit with the stuff.
It's so hard too.
And that's like with my ex-husband in a vulnerable share, we were trying to work things out from February until September. Yeah. And I told him right before September, I was going on a big trip to Chile and Brazil, and I was going to be in Australia and then Thailand. And I said, I need this time for me. And I was ready to work it out with him. And the moment I stopped communication and the moment I really checked in with myself, I realized that it wasn't right for me, the relationship. So if there's folks out there listening or contemplating even, or maybe they're in some kind of toxic relationship. I have friends right now that are in severely toxic relationships, and I don't think your relationship was toxic by any means, but I'm saying some of those folks, it may be time to take some time and maybe
which is hard to do. Know that it's not easy.
It's so hard. And sometimes that is the strongest medicine, just being with yourself, being with people that love you, and then you can walk away and really reflect. And maybe you will get back together. And I'm not saying just to you, Amy, and maybe the folks out there that are in a relationship that they're trying to fix or improve or walk away from. Find the strength and courage within yourself and take some time for yourself. And
reach out to people and let them know you need help.
Yeah.
I mean, my medicine isn't everyone's medicine, and I am well practiced at it, but I have no shame in letting people know, like, I'm in a lot of pain right now. Things are really hard. My partner, in my opinion, is kind of being a dick, and I need your help. And people show up really, really big for me. So maybe that's not as easy for most people, but I highly recommend it, and not just sitting in your dark little hole of anxiousness, because I know when I do that, things are really hard.
And also going into it, because not to hate on my mom, which I won't ever, but I always, when I was going through my stuff, I'd call my mom because she's always there, and I always want to enter with, I'm not looking for advice, because she gives me advice. I'm like,
well, you should try this, or you should have done this. And you're like,
well, or she'll be like, well, you shouldn't ask me because I don't know about relationships. And I'm like, I'm just wanting someone to listen right now and unconditionally love me.
So let them know what you're looking for.
So let them know. Yeah. And that's my bad too, for not letting my mother know.
Yeah.
And because I love her to death and she's only trying to help. But going into that with folks out there, let them know, hey, I just really want to tell you this stuff, and please just listen. Yeah. And I don't even need feedback or an opinion. I just want you to listen.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that with all of everyone. Us.
Now you all know.
Now we're going out single times.
I don't know. I was telling our other friend,
I'll be your wing woman.
I mean, I actually know a lot of single women.
Oh, damn.
I know a ton of single women. And I'm not like, this is a different place for me too. Often when I'm in this new single place, I want to fill the void with attention, and I'm just like not really there. I'm like I want to hang out with girls, and I want women, women. I want a podcast. I want to do all these creative things. It's like there's much more of that, or have time for me.
Yeah.
Then there is like, I'm gonna go find a man.
See, I did the whole I'm gonna travel.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna. I'll travel by myself. I did.
And you finally had casual sex with people.
I had casual sex. I really did a lot of self-reflection. I did a lot of writing and reading and yoga and meditation. And that's when I really started. And it was so powerful. I think you will always know what you need when you need it. And that's fun that you want girl time and come over to my house, drink wine with me. I got a lot of girls over my house all the time.
That's good.
I got women. I got girls. I got
all the ages.
I got all the ages.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling really good about it. And I just want to end this little piece with just how much I love and appreciate my partner. I'm still going to say partner right now, but he's not my partner. We're not in a committed partnership, but I still, if you listen to the episode with him, I still just love him so much and appreciate him. And despite all the hard things, I get it, and I have compassion, and I'm just so grateful for what we've shared. I'm grateful for how we handled yesterday. And this is an example of how what we were talking about, the work we've done, is not bullshit. Because if you would have heard the conversation we had about us breaking up, you'd be like, holy shit, that is some advanced communication. How are you able to do this? It's because of that work that we did that we were talking about. Like, yes, we're ending our partnership, our committed partnership, and that doesn't mean that the work didn't pay off or that we were not truthful about that. And I just want to honor us in that. It really, there's so much truth to what I said with Nicola on that episode, with my partner, and I said on that episode with him too. So so now the podcast, when we started this podcast, we were both single.
Yeah.
So now we're like, April will be the one in the relationship, and I'll be the single person. All the single people on listening right now, they're like, yes, we got it.
Well, you know what we can have now is Margin's Girl Nights with Margin's Wine.
I know you're not drinking
Megan
wine today,
Bell.
but I might still drink wine when we sit outside and do some work to sing.
I already had coffee. I'm on a cleanse, everyone, starting today, and I forgot. And so I drank coffee, and then I was like, oh no, I wasn't supposed to do that. And then, so maybe I could just break it today. But
and then start tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because you already fucked it up.
I was supposed to do 10 days. I could just do 9. Is that bad?
No, it's not bad at all.
I had to take cold medicine today too, so I could podcast.
You're fine.
And I never take any over the counter acetaminophen's my new drug.
Starts tomorrow. Just don't keep pushing back, but starts tomorrow.
Yeah. So Margin's Wine, if you all aren't familiar, and if you've listened to this podcast long at all, you know that Margin's Wine is a local Santa Cruz wine, small batch boutique, very sustainably made. All the grapes are handpicked. There's no machines involved and no pesticides used and no added sulfites. So it's super yummy wine, less of a hangover. And if you go to marginswine.com and sign up for the newsletter, there's probably 2 or 3 a year, you will get first access to the next release of wines, because unfortunately they're sold out, and that's thanks to you, the listeners, and thanks to her making such great wine as well. So get on the newsletter, and then the next round she comes out with, which I think will be in summer-ish, July, August, you will have first access, and it's really reasonably priced too, and it's good wine. I drink it all the time.
We're going to drink it today.
Drink it today.
Chenin Blanc in the sunshine.
That's right.
Yep. Okay, so before I read the bio, we have something that we want to share, which is a new thing for us that we've been taking every day.
It is actually something that I bought off of an Instagram ad. No
Ooh,
joke.
You got sold on Instagram
last year, because it's a beautiful bottle. It's called Ritual Vitamins, made by women for women. And I started taking it, and then Ritual basically was like, hey, you're a women podcast. Talk about our vitamins. Take our vitamins. I was like, I've already been taking them. They use some of the best ingredients out there. It's what we can't get from our food.
Vitamins are a tricky thing because there's a lot of shitty ingredients in these vitamins.
There's
A lot of fillers.
There's
synthetics.
petroleum products. If you start researching vitamins, y'all, which I did, I stopped taking a multivitamin until Ritual because I didn't like all the gunk and garbage.
The ingredients, I can't pronounce all of them, so I'll say some of them, but folate, biotin, iron, vitamin B12, which is the methylated B12, magnesium, vitamin E, boron, vitamin K2, iodine. Iodine's really hard to get in our diets unless we have like the seafood things.
They extract the all of these from sustainable sources too, so they're not just creating them in a laboratory. They're actually you get like the vitamin D3s from Nottingham, UK. How cool is that they tell you where it's from?
Yeah.
No other vitamin companies are giving you that kind of information. So check it out. Remember that if you go to ritual.com and hit /shameless sex, you can get 10% off your first 3 months. That's 10% off your first 3 months. That's a good deal. So go to ritual.com /, I always do that, /shameless sex. And yeah, check it out. Try it. You're going to love it.
Awesome. Well, actually, I have my bottle up there too. So you just remind me I need to go take my ritual today. It's my daily ritual. Hey, that's cute. I like it. Okay, so are you all ready to hear a bio? Here we go. So Dana B. Meyers is an award-winning product developer, entrepreneur, author, and media personality. As founder of Booty Parlor, Dana has changed the lives of thousands of women by inspiring them to boost their sexual self-confidence and create sexier, more satisfying relationships. Known for her frank yet empowering style, Dana helps her clients reclaim the power of their sensuality and sexual satisfaction through her coaching practice and live workshops. Her advice and Booty Parlor's products have been featured in Marie Claire, Women's Health, Parents, Redbook, Nylon, Allure, Good Morning America, Access Hollywood, The Wendy Williams Show, and more. And her recent book, the most recent book, The Mommy Mojo Makeover, 28 Tools to Rediscover Yourself and Reignite Your Relationship, was published in 2018 by Viva Editions. You can find more on her website at danabmeyers.com. Are you ready to go?
I can't wait. Let's do it.
All right, everyone, it's episode time, and we are here with Dana B. Meyers. I want to say it the way that Kimberly says it on Evine. Dana B. Meyers. Dana and I have been on live TV together with the wonderful Kimberly, the super powerhouse host of Evine After Dark, where we've gone on there to talk about sex toys. Dana's specifically gone on behalf of her company, Booty Parlor, and I've been on there for Uberlube, and so I've met Dana through the live TV circuit, which is such an interesting realm. But Dana, you're made for live TV and podcasts.
I love it. I love it. You know, I love a good show. I was born with jazz hands, and I do. I love it. I thrive on it. I love it. I just love talking about sex, and if I can do it on TV, I will.
So we already read your bio in the
yeah.
intro, but you tell our listeners about the journey of how you got to be where you are today. You wrote a book, you have Booty Parlor, you go on live TV. Can you tell our listeners more about yourself?
Yeah, totally. I've been in this industry now for a long time. We started Booty Parlor 15 years ago. And really, I was always just very interested in all things beauty and all things sex. My mom was a makeup artist, and I was just kind of brought into this world of female empowerment with her by following her to the beauty shop where she worked and really watching her sit down with women and transform them with makeup. And here I would be like sitting in the corner cataloging her lipsticks and, hearing women really just divulge their secrets, their desires, their fears, how they felt about their body, their faces. And I just watched my mom kind of help these women uncover their inner beauty and their inner sexiness. And my mom was always just a really sexy bitch. Kind of grew up witnessing her use her feminine powers in life as part of her, not something separate, but really as part of who she was, the woman. And I was just always a very sexual human and had a curiosity to discover things, to explore, to experience from, an early, I think earlier than many. And my parents noticed, and they didn't try to shame me or discourage it. They just talked openly with me about it. And I remember my mom saying, masturbation feels just as good as having sex, Dana, if not better. And so like from a very young age, I was introduced to self-pleasure as self-care, as part of something that was natural within me. So naturally I was talking to all my friends like, whoa, guys, do you know about this? Do you know what you can do? Do you know how it feels? And I just became that girl, very much like I'm sure you have been that girl, you know, the one that feels more open about sex and femininity and wants to share information. I wound up in the music business and built a career there, but was dissatisfied working in the corporate world and wanted to combine my love of beauty and sex. And this was, again, 16 years ago when the sex business was still very rooted in triple X. And so I met this new guy on Match.com who's now my husband for 14 years. And I just said, I've got this idea for a brand. It's like where I'd want to go to shop for sex toys instead of that skanky place down the street. And it's got beauty products so she feels sexy. And then it's got sexy products so she can channel that sexuality and that confidence into more creative sexual experiences in her relationship. And I called it Booty Parlor because it was like the beauty parlor for your love life. It was like all my life's experiences, came to this point, and it just made sense. And so we raised some money. We both quit our jobs. We launched the brand. We got scattered by Victoria's Secret to carry our original line of beauty products. I mean, we were working out of our living room, and I got a call. Victoria's Secret came up on the caller ID, and I was like, did I place an order with them? But it just kind of launched our business very much into the mainstream. And since then, we've just been building this business. We've worked with Victoria's Secret, Ulta, Henry Bendel, a lot of international business. I started doing a lot of workshops with women, and that's really where that's really like my number one passion is being live with women and helping women discover their desires and have better sex. And that's also really where I gathered much of my information and research for my books. So my first book came out in 2010. I wrote it while I was pregnant. Little did I know what was about to happen. And it was a sexy lifestyle makeover book for all women, regardless of what situation you were in. Then I had 2 kids, and really for the first time in my life, had no libido. And it really scared me. And for the first time in my life, without my libido, without my sexuality as kind of this guiding light in my life, I kind of had an identity crisis. Like, who am I now? And so that gave me the inspiration to write my next book, which I released last year, which is called The Mommy Mojo Makeover. And it's just geared at helping women who've had children remember who they are, evolve into their next phase of womanhood, and remember that they're sexual beings who can really have great sex. But you have to overcome a lot once you have kids. So it's a pathway back to that and to having much better relationship too.
So let's talk about that sex as self-care piece that you talked about before when you realized masturbation wasn't shameful. And then I'm sure it was part of your, well, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing that part of your journey of, getting, reigniting your libido, getting reconnected to it after having 2 kids and feeling like your libido was gone, that this was a part of it. So can you tell our listeners more about that, about how sex is self-care?
Yeah, totally. I mean, yes, masturbation, I've been, self-pleasuring for as long as I can remember. And it's interesting because I remember, in the way, when you're young, you don't go out and buy a vibrator when you're 10, you figure out what feels good to move your body up against. So it was just that going to that place, that space. I always describe masturbation or self-pleasure as this like playground, right? Where I can go and be free and try new things. And sometimes it's got an excited energy, and sometimes it's more slow, tender energy. Sometimes I'm really angry and I know I need to go like level myself out and release that anger through an orgasm. Sometimes I'm sad and I want to release those emotions. So for me, this idea of self-pleasure is a space to just express who I am and layer pleasure on top of it. Like pleasure if you're really angry, pleasure's going to help you. If you're really sad, pleasure's going to help you. If you're hopeful and you want to like cast a prayer out into the universe, we'll slap an orgasm on that prayer. So it's like, gonna give that hope, that dream more energy. So that's really why I feel like self-pleasure is the number one element or avenue of self-care, because it does so many things for you. And you don't need anything, you don't need to go get a manicure. You don't need to go get your hair done. It's free. Mind you, unless you really love toys and you have a habit of buying expensive toys, which I do. But to me, it's like self-pleasure kind of soothes everything. And I also think it does something that all good self-care should do, is that it boosts your confidence as well, because you're getting to know your body in a very intimate way, which should give you self-confidence and trust in yourself that you can then take into your relationship. If you know your if you know your body really well and you're confident that you can bring yourself to orgasm, you're going to be more confident to guide your lover to do the same and to express yourself. If you don't know how your body works, it's very hard to then try to tell someone else.
What about, so I'm just thinking about those, that state that you said you were in when you're like, my libido's gone. And I know that there's a lot of folks who, even just taking that first step to start doing the sexual self-care, they don't have the desire behind it, and they're already, stressed and really busy. So what would be your advice for them to take that step to motivate them if they're not even feeling the desire? They're waiting for the desire to kind of ignite that for them to do it, but it seems like there's another thing that happens before that.
That's a great question. I always don't wait, create. And I'm a very organized person. Like, I don't look outside myself and like, oh, where's my libido? It's out there somewhere. I'll wait for you to come back to me. It's like, no, I'm going to create that desire. And then even if it's like a sliver of desire, if I create it, then it will rise up. Then it has like a platform to rise up. So, and I'm a very organized person. And I really apply that to my sex life. So I will, every Sunday night, it's this process that I have called mojo mapping and sex planning. And I sit down with my calendar and I'm like, okay, Tuesday morning, I'll be in the house on my own. So there's my solo session. Saturday afternoon, I'm going to get the kids out of the house with the sitter for 3 hours. That gives me, and I'm going to pencil in, we're going to have a long love engagement, me and Charlie. So it's like, I put it in my calendar and then I meet myself for that date. It's just like, you look at your week, you go, okay, I know I'm going to get to the gym Monday, Thursday, Saturday. That's an appointment you want to keep with yourself because it makes you feel good or it makes you look good or both. And I think that if people are struggling to find their desire, that don't wait, create attitude is a helpful mindset to have to get you back in. It's like, okay, I put down, I'm going to masturbate on Tuesday morning. I marked out a half an hour. I'm going to go in my room. I'll turn on some music, or I'll read some erotica, or I'll watch some porn that turns me on, and I'll take out my vibe and I'll just see what happens. I'll just see what happens, without expectation. Because I think that's the other thing that stops people. It's like, what? Oh, I got to have all these orgasms now too? I'm already, I'm doing so much. You're going to put that pressure on. It's like, no, just see what happens. And then you have an orgasm in 5 minutes. You're like, oh my God, why was I waiting? Why was I waiting? It's like, it's all right there for you.
Yeah, and I would imagine, so because we were talking about having these windows, right? So you have you have a window for yourself, looking at the calendar, and I think that's part of what you're saying is that the to embrace the planning part if you're really busy, and if you make that date for yourself, to definitely keep it. But what about for folks who don't have a lot of windows? Maybe they're a single mom, or maybe we're not even talking about a mom, but just someone who is really, really, really busy. I mean, what April and I have said in the past, like, if you have time to go on Facebook and Instagram, you have time to self-pleasure, right? There's always time, but we always find excuses.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. And you're so spot on. It's like, I always tell people, take one day and turn on the social tracker on your phone. And at the end of the day, you're going to gag at how much time you've wasted scrolling on Facebook and Instagram. Like, the first time I did that, I was horrified. It was like was like 4 or 5 hours. I turned the tracker off. I couldn't take it. I was like, and and I stopped scrolling so much. But yeah, take one day to look at where you're wasting your time and find 5 or 10 of those minutes to, to lay down and pleasure yourself. It's going to be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be worth it. And the effects of it, or it's like, there's so many layers of effects. It's not just pleasure in the moment or self-soothing in the moment. Suddenly you make it a habit, and then your energy starts to rise. You have a glow about you. You become more magnetic to other people. People are like, did you change your hair? Did you get a suntan? I'm more like, you start noticing you're getting more positive attention.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because you're shining up your own energy. Mm-hmm. Orgasms are energy. It's like they're rocket fuel that you can use to actually power you through the rest of your really busy, stressed out day. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think that, the other challenge, as you were saying, like people say I'm too busy to plan. The other challenge that I come up against a lot with couples, and it's about 50-50 male, female who tell me this, they're like, well, planning takes the spontaneity out of it. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to
so many times. Yeah.
I don't want to do it. And I'm like, planning means your sex life is a priority. Mm-hmm. And that's really fucking hot. Mm-hmm. Like your wife comes to you and says, hey, I'd like to plan our sex. Let's make it an event. What she's saying to you is like, I still desire you. I want to recreate that desire, heighten that desire. Let's do this. While it may not on the surface be the most romantic thing, planning sex is really such an effective framework for getting out of a rut. Mm-hmm. And bringing consistency back to your sex life, right?
And I would imagine within that planning, because I think that what the part that might be most challenging or not sexy is if we plan it and we definitely have to have this one type of sex at this same night once a week or twice a week, whatever that is. So I would imagine part of that is leaving it open that it is maybe there's sex, whatever sex means to you, and intimacy, and you're planning this spaciousness, this time, but it doesn't always have to be the same type of sex, right? It's
definitely
creating that sacred intimacy time.
Yeah, totally. And in the book, I have this framework. I call it the sexy sessions. Mm-hmm. There's 8 different experiences, so that it's kind of like pick and choose your own adventure. Mm-hmm. And even the most simple way to add variety and creativity within the framework of planned sex is to simply play around with, I call it erotic energies, right? So I'll tell you this story. Charlie and I, we had planned for sex. It was a Thursday night. And I always, on those nights, I always say, you go put the kids to bed so that I don't exhaust myself. I want to manage my energy, right? I want to go transition from working in the day, mothering, then in the, late afternoon, early evening hours, and back into like the sensual woman, right? So I got to go transition. You put the kids to bed. I'll take a shower. I'll stretch. I'll do some hip circles. I may have, a glass of wine or something. And so I was getting into my chill zone. Charlie came in. He was like, what are you in the mood for, love? And I'm so bad at his accent.
He's British, right?
What are you in the mood for, love? And
that's cute.
And out of nowhere, I was like, I want to wrestle. And I was like, I want to wrestle. And I don't know where it came from. And maybe I'd been watching Glow on Netflix and I liked their outfits or something. But it wasn't, hey, let's have this full-blown fantasy where you do this and I'll do that, and you say this and I'll say that. It was just an energy. I wanted that rough and tumble. I didn't want romantic sex that night. I wanted that physicality of like bodies colliding, and maybe it was like a little campy, and we wound up having really re-energized different sex that night just because I said I want to wrestle. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of hooked into this idea of inviting creativity just through short phrases, right? Through just different images in my mind. So another one, we gone to a hotel and left the kids, and we go on these sex dates like once every 2 months. And And he was like, what are you in the mood for, love? Because that's now the thing, right? And I was like laying on this couch and I was wearing like a soft jersey nightie and I was just feeling in my body. And I said, I want you to pet me like a cat. Um, again, not really exactly sure where it came from, but it was that feeling of wanting to be stroked and pet. And so then that set the tone for that sex that night. So I think that, planning is one thing, but then finding a way to invite creativity in a way that suits your personality, that suits your relationship. And of course, that's going to be slightly different for everyone. But spend a minute, write down 10 erotic energies so that you can have them in the back of your mind. And then say to your partner, hey, sex Thursday night, you and me, 10 p.m. Ask me this question. What are you in the mood for, love? And then as your week goes by, you're thinking about it. And maybe you look at your list and you go, maybe I'm in the mood to be pet like a cat, or maybe I'm in the mood to wrestle, or maybe I want to pretend like this is the last time we were going to see each other. And then you can have that phrase in your mind. So when your partner does ask that, you've already been listening to yourself say those words. So you'll feel more confident to say them in the moment. Right? Because that's another thing that gets people a little bit hung up.
Yeah.
How do I say what I want?
Yeah. It's scary.
You practice.
Yeah.
You practice. You literally practice hearing your voice. And then you feel more confident to say it.
And I would imagine as you were talking about your steps of, you're working all day and then you're doing the mothering and then he puts the kids to bed so you can go and connect to your body and kind of put aside the other hats of the day, that because you do that, that's where there's the spaciousness for you to actually feel into your body and come up with something like, I want to wrestle. Whereas if other people are just going right from mommy to just trying to go right into the sexual space without even taking time to drop in, that creativity and that those ideas probably don't really flow. It's more of that I don't know what I want. That's
Yep. And it's also where you are far more likely to take a rain check. That's where you're just like, no, I'm too tired. Let's take a rain check. Let's do it another night. And then that, even if you say it kindly, that then feels like a rejection because you got your partner excited. He's been thinking about it for 4 days. He's ready. And you're like, let's take a rain check. So even though you have to allow for flexibility, right? You prioritize it, you plan it. And then, you want to follow through, but you have to allow for some flexibility. Of course, like if your kid just threw up on you, that's going to be a hard transition to make. But if you're not angry, if you're not sick, then I would encourage you to make sure you take that time to transition so that you can follow through, and that builds intimate trust. Like if you keep reacting, making sex dates and then rain checking on it, that doesn't build a whole lot of intimate trust. And it also, like, I think what happens is when women keep rain checking, then their partners stop asking. They stop, and then the woman goes, why don't you ask me for sex anymore? You're not attracted to me? He's like, you kept saying no, you kept rain checking on me for the last 6 weeks. I don't like feeling rejected. So it's like pressure, expectation, rejection, all of that levels out if you plan and follow through.
And again, with that, I think people are so hooked on sex needing to be one way. And that's why, of course, if you're getting a no, I'm exhausted, but I do want connection. I do want closeness and intimacy, but I'm totally getting a no on penetrative sex. So therefore I'm going to reject all of it. And that, I think, can create an issue because people are often so set on it needing to be one way, all or nothing, very goal oriented. When if there's spaciousness to just tap in, like you're talking about, of what's really here right now, and it's I want to wrestle or be pet like a cat, or just held and adored, and just following that thread, then I think there's just so much more room.
That's so spot on. That's so right. That's right. And that I think that's a good conversation to have with your partner outside of the bedroom, not in any kind of planned sex zone. It's like, what other kinds of intimacy can we practice if I'm not in the mood for penetrative sex, or if I'm not, what does that look like to you? What does it look like to me? How can we co-create those experiences where it doesn't always have to be touching penetration? What does that look like? Can we watch each other masturbate? Can we, bring each other to orgasm with just manual stimulation, or just and also like, is it okay to have a quick fuck where I don't come? You know, I think of course, you know, most good lovers, they want their women to have an orgasm, but sometimes the physicality of sex, that's enough for her. She doesn't need the orgasm. And or she's like, you know what? It's actually like based on my internal orgasm calculator, I think it's gonna take 40 minutes tonight, and I'm not in the mood for that. And that's okay for me to say that, and it's okay for you to accept that.
Yeah, it's not about you. Don't take it personally.
Exactly. It's not about you.
So my next question actually goes hand in hand with something, because this is coming out today. This is like probably the first time in a long time we've actually recorded an episode that's actually going out the same day. So,
Last minute.
yeah. So this is going out, and this is 2 weeks before Mother's Day. That's why we wanted to get this out right away. And of course, a lot of what we're talking about does not just apply to mothers. I think it actually applies to everyone. And we also, tomorrow's May 1st, we're launching our 30-day self-pleasure challenge on Instagram for our podcast. So people aren't following, it's a 30-day challenge where for 10 minutes a day to be a part of the challenge, the contest, you self-pleasure, and it doesn't involve vibrators, porn, and it's not goal-oriented. You're not like having to have the orgasm in it. It's just a minimum 10 minutes a day of setting time to touch your body and just explore to see what's there. So for listeners who want to know more about that, you still have the next week to enter the contest by starting tomorrow, the next day. So go check that out on Shameless Sex Podcast on Instagram. But the next question would be, how can busy folks, busy mamas, busy people invite more pleasure into their daily lives, both in and out of the bedroom? What are the regular practices that you suggest?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things of all time. And it's become such a habit for me that I don't have to change how I'm actually going about my day. So really what I do, I'll just share the most common example. Like if I'm produce department at the grocery store, I will linger around the carrots, right? Because I'm like, oh, those are so sort of fresh and hard and glistening in the mister, and oh, look at that one, that's got an interesting girth, and that one's really long, or that one's really curvy, and even though I'm going about my regular day and buying groceries for the house, I know I gotta cook, I know I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I'm finding pleasure in that very mundane experience. I'm finding sensual inputs, I'm finding visual stimulation, because I'm simply shifting my mindset, right? So you're walking down the street and maybe you pass a flower shop and you pause to look at the flowers, and you don't just think, oh, that's pretty, but you think, oh, wow, that actually, looks like a female body part. Or what does it mean, to feel that like my flower is blooming? Like, it's really just looking up from your phone and noticing and actively shifting what you're seeing as part of regular day, what's right in front of you, and trying to kind of squeeze the sensuality out of it. So like if you're folding laundry, like I fucking hate folding laundry and I hate it more than anything, but I don't want to be sitting in ugliness. I want to be sitting in that kind of ugly state of mind where I'm complaining. So I'll hug the warm towels to my body and I'll think about, what would this feel like if I was like rolling around on these naked having sex? It's literally just saying, how can I make this very regular moment much more pleasurable? And then what that does is suddenly you're like having sexier thoughts all day long. Another example of something really boring and awful, like undoing the dishwasher. No one likes to undo the dishwasher, right? So that's another moment where I find myself very non-sexual thing, undoing the dishwasher. But when you first open that door and all the steam rushes out, right? And it's like, oh wait, I remember that time I was in the hot tub in LA and the steam was rising on my face and I felt the jets on my pussy. And it's like, and suddenly I'm like in a fantasy. So, and when you turn on your brain throughout the day with pleasurable thoughts, then your body starts to respond to that. and I think libido starts to rise on a very kind of subtle but very real way. So that's, and this is another thing where it's like, it doesn't cost any money. You don't have to do anything dramatic. You just have to change the way you see your current environment, and catch yourself when you're complaining and bringing your energy down and say, how could I turn that complaining into sexual energy? It's almost like a little game. Like, how could I take the most horrible, unattractive thing in my life that I have to do and make it sexy? It's like a challenge.
Your daily challenge.
That's my daily challenge.
What you're describing is very tantric, right? It's using the body's senses, your eyesight of looking at the kind of phallic carrot, or your senses of your skin or smells, and saying, okay, I have these senses, and here's this boring thing that I'm doing with the steam from the dishwasher, or I'm buying the groceries, but if I really use my senses, what is actually yummy here? How can I use them to pick up on the yummy things that might not even bring up sexy, but there's sensuality available when we
totally
all over the place.
That's right. That's right. And especially, look, with our busy lives, whether you have kids or not, we're moving from task to task to task all day long. And yeah, nurturing the sensuality, finding those yummy moments, those juicy moments to soften the edges of all the things that we have to do. It's a really good way to feel your desire rise up to meet you.
Yeah. I love that. And I need to do more of that as I'm got off an air, and I'm like, how can I do that on airplanes? Right. Because the airplanes are like, to me, they're like, there's nothing good about this airplane. I'm sure I can find some. And if I can't find it in my environment, I can close my eyes and do an erotic meditation sitting on an airplane seat next to someone else, which is just me breathing into my pussy and feeling that part of me. And that in itself can raise up my energy. So I know that I always have access to tools. I just don't always choose it, but I know that it's available to me. Okay. I have a question for you. I don't know if you can answer this question. If you can't, that's all good. Okay. I'm just throwing this at you. And so we received this question from someone a long time ago when we did a podcast on open relationships, and someone did specifically ask about how to navigate open relationships when you have kids, and the complexities of it, and not specifically like, because I know that's a tricky thing. Do you tell, because you're a parent, do you tell people that you are in open relationships? Do you keep it private? I think that's completely up to the individual. But the question I'm going to ask you is actually just more related to time, right? Like, it's already hard having one partner to tend to, and then you have these kids to take care of. Now you want to have one partner and maybe multiple partners or lovers or relationships. So I don't know if you have any suggestions on that one, or if you're not feeling like you do. I mean, I don't have.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So I don't have experience personally with open relationships, but I would imagine that, like, seeing as though I'm already like a super planner and a super organizer, I would think your planning skills have to be like on fire to juggle your children, your core partner, and your other partners. I think it's a fascinating topic. And it's all, what I love is that it's really coming out more in the mainstream now, right? There's so much more information online. There's so much more, there's so many more books to read. So I'm fascinated by open relationships. I personally don't feel, with the 2 kids and the businesses, I run my business with my partner. I personally, even though, I don't necessarily think that monogamy makes a whole lot of sense. I also don't fully understand how open relationships work, with kids or without. So to me, it's a mystery, and I'm fascinated by it. What's your take?
I mean, I think that planning thing is going to be a huge part of it. I think no matter what, and whether you're in an open relationship or a monogamous relationship, whether you have kids or just a busy job, it's really finding that time and making that commitment, and then also leaving that time open where you really do dedicate yourself to that intimacy and that time, whether it's with your own body or with another body, no matter what, but you check in with what is present. And yeah, I mean, with open relationships, from my understanding, I've dabbled in them here and there, and they definitely don't make things easier. So if you're looking for
Right. Yeah.
more, I
Yeah.
mean, if you're looking for more, aliveness and juiciness, and an open relationship is something that you desire or want, then that's awesome. I wouldn't look for it to make anything more easy or simplified in your life.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, the other day, because I like to flirt, right? I like to flirt, but I have very clear boundaries. And for me, flirting all about expressing myself as a woman, because yes, I'm a wife, yes, I'm a mother, but really I'm a woman first. And, to expect my flirtatiousness to go away because I'm married, like I would never expect that of myself. And Charlie knows that I like to flirt, but I have very clear boundaries. And there's boundaries that I'm always, checking and evaluating and making sure, like, I never give out my phone number. I never carry on, with the texting or anything. It's like, I want that energy. I want that exchange. I want that excitement. I want those butterflies. And then I'm going to channel all of that into my relationship, right? I'm going to channel those flickers of new relationship energy that I got from flirting with this, this cute doctor the other day at my friend's big Easter party. He was so cute. But like, I'm going to channel that. And I said that to him. I'm like, I'm super married, have 2 kids. I write about sex, and I'm excited to be flirting with you, but I'm going to channel that into my husband when I get home. And that was such a novel. It was really, he was like, I don't know, because he was still single. He was like, I don't think I could like handle my wife flirting. And I was like, but why? Like, I understand like the instinct to be passive, right? It's human instinct to be territorial or possessive. But if she's channeling that sexual energy back into you, then let her be free. Freedom is a huge turn on, right?
Yeah.
And so I think when partners go, okay, well, we're married forever, and you are the only person I can find attractive, and vice versa, like there's not a lot of freedom in that. You feel trapped, and your sex drive goes psh.
And I think that speaks to the common experience of motherhood, is that we've talked to a number of mothers where there's this idea that now they're not sexual beings anymore, whether it's society thinks that or they think that about themselves, or and so I think that there's another way when you're speaking to how to cultivate more daily practices of being connected to your sensuality and eroticism, is to, if this is something that you're comfortable with and is part of you, then to continue whatever level of flirtation that it is. Maybe it's not with men, maybe it's with women, maybe it's with, I don't know,
Absolutely.
whatever that is, just not turning off, or maybe it's just with your partner, still flirting with your partner, but not turning off that part of you, that it can still be, playful and suggestive. And I love how you were with the doctor and being honest with them and like, I'm just going to go take this home.
Yeah, totally. Because then it diffuses. Because often I think, if you're coupled up and you start flirting, you go, wait, how am I going to let them know that this isn't going anywhere? You just let them know right up front. Then it's just fun. And you're right. It doesn't have to be like, it's not overtly sexual. It can be quite innocent and still have excitement to it. But yeah, flirting, I think, is like, flirting makes you feel free. And I think that freedom is one of the key inputs to feeling alive and sexual.
And probably one of the biggest pieces that shifts when you have children is, all right, my life is now for you. And my life feels like it's now just for these people that I brought into the world. And I still need to realize that my life is also still for me. And how can I find some freedom here? Maybe it's not when my child is an infant right away, but to not completely lose sight of that. Like, I think parenthood is the most intense job in the world. I'm not a parent, but the parents that I see, I think that it's a badass career being a parent, and that I do think it's also still important to not completely lose yourself in the identity of parent, and unless that truly just speaks to you and that's what you want. And I have a feeling a lot of people still desire to have their identity as them, who they are, aside from being a parent.
Yeah. And then so what comes with that often is guilt.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm not totally just satisfied being just a mom or a mom who works. It's like, I still want more. And there's this weird inherent guilt that comes along with motherhood. And it's probably a lot to do with the media messages that we receive as well. So you gotta there's so many layers to reclaiming yourself after you have kids. It's like, how do I separate myself from the guilt? How do I give myself permission that it's okay that I want more, that I still love being a mother, and that nurturing and that growth that that I receive from being a mother. But I can also give myself the permission, because that's a lot of women think, oh, I don't know, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's not the example they were taught from their own mothers. Maybe what they saw is their mother giving selflessly and loving it all. Well, she was probably dying on the inside, but couldn't admit that, right? Now we can admit it more. There's been a major shift. Mothers being able to admit, I want more. This is unsatisfying for me. Or I like certain parts of it and hate other parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
But giving yourself the permission to both love it and detest it, to both be fulfilled by it and want to be fulfilled by other things. Mm-hmm. There's constant permission you have to keep reminding yourself that you have, because you are a sovereign being. Yes, you're responsible for someone else, but you're also still responsible for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then how do you...
I'm not passionate about this at all.
Yeah. No, not at all. I know. Yeah. I know. I see your passion. And I think that it's an important point of especially when you're responsible for someone else, if you're not showing up for you, then I'm just curious about how that affects the energy of how you're showing up for everything else in your life. If there's a part of you that might be getting neglected as well.
Yeah. And you can't really be, it's really hard to be a good patient mother if you feel that you are in servitude and if you feel that you have no freedom. It's really hard to kind of be in joy if you feel that way. Mm-hmm. So, for as long as I can remember, I would, I take what I call a mommy pop out, or I pop out of the house between the hardest hours, which are, 5 till 8:30. It's dinner time, homework time, bath time, game time, story time, brushy teethy time, all this shit. Mm-hmm. I'm a grown woman. Why am I doing? Why am I doing this?
I want me time. Yeah.
I want me time, because I've worked all day and I want that me time. So I just pop out. I pop out once or twice a week. I hand those responsibilities over to somebody else, my husband or a sitter or postman, anyone. And I pop out and I go be a woman in the world, and I wander and I go to this or that or this shop or this gallery or this event, and I go get my freedom. Mm-hmm. And then I come home and I'm high on freedom, and I'm turned on to myself, and maybe I flirted or had a cool exchange with somebody and I've got that energy. And then I usually align my mommy pop outs with my planned sex, right? Mm-hmm. That's a nice big long transition as well, where you're out of the house and you don't exhaust yourself. So it's soothing your exhaustion, because moms are tired and just busy working people are tired. Soothing your exhaustion, getting your freedom, seeking out sensual inputs, and planning sex. It's not rocket science to have an exciting and full sensual and sex life, but it does require some intention and some attention.
And what about for folks who, we remind our listeners, because we talked about your books, but people can work with you. You have online, I think you're doing workshops and things. Can you tell our listeners more about the offerings you have in case they want to continue working with you? You're so passionate and they're like, I want that passion.
Yeah, well, I'm super excited. I'm about to launch my signature online course, which is called The Satisfied Mama. So if you go to danabmeyers.com and just sign up, you'll start getting updates about that pretty soon. You can enter your email address. I've got a bunch of free resources on the site as well, like Smart Mom's Guide to Better Intimacy. I'm going to soon be releasing a really great video workshop about how to get more help and appreciation and remove resentment from your relationship, because it's another huge libido killer, resentment. But yeah, my online course is going to be launching in June. I do private coaching, less so these days now that I'm working on my course, but you can find out about that on the website. And I also do live workshops, but mostly it's in Miami and Los Angeles. Which is, I live in Miami now, but I bought back and forth to Los Angeles quite a bit.
So the website was danabmeyers.com. So that's easy.
Yes.
MYERERS.com.
Thank you.
And then your books, the Mommy Mojo Makeover. And then what was the first book again?
The first one is called it's a long title, The Official Booty Parlor Mojo Makeover, 4 Weeks to a Sexier You.
Okay, so go to danabmeyers.com and you'll find out what she just said.
Exactly.
And then and then also Booty Parlor too, which is a wonderful. I still to this day love that like aphrodisiac perfume. Oh, it's that one's
the pheromone perfume.
Yeah, the pheromone perfume. That's the one. Yeah.
It's so good, and we're out of stock.
Well, maybe when people check in later, this is an evergreen product, so
it is. It's an evergreen product. Yeah. It is. It's just anyhow, the supply chain issues.
Yeah. Yes, I know how that game works. I assist with manufacturing. I'm not a manufacturer, but I know how that works. So. Thank you for sharing, Dana, your passion and your wisdom. And again, I know there's so much important stuff here for mamas, for just not all parents, any parent, for anyone who's not even a parent, because I think all of this stuff applies to everyone in terms of staying connected to your sexuality, your freedom, finding that time, whether for intimacy, especially if you're in a long-term relationship. So. And obviously, Dana, you're a great example of when you take care of yourself, you can feel alive, because listen to you.
I'm turned on, God damn it.
Woohoo!
I feel good. I feel good. And it's because I practice what I preach. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sure.
I really appreciate you taking the time. And to all of
having me.
Yeah, we're happy to have you here. Well, April's not here. All of our listeners, reason why we did this is we wanted this to come out today, and I'm in Portland and April is not. So we love you, April. And hopefully you'll get to meet her someday, Dana. Maybe.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't think I have yet.
Yeah, maybe you have, but I'm sure you will in the future. To our listeners, normally April would say something about write us reviews on iTunes. So write us reviews on iTunes, please. We love 5 stars. It helps to get the word out. We get more listeners that way. And we are also still continuing for the next week or two, sharing some trailers of some other sex positive podcasts that we love. In case our listeners want to check out other podcasts, don't abandon us, but just check them out. Here's a trailer that I'm going to be playing for you in a moment. It's by Sluts and Scholars. So Sluts and Scholars is a podcast with Nicoletta and Simone. Nicoletta is a licensed MFT and sexologist, and Simone is an actor turned law student who just really loves talking about sex. They're very sex positive, it's shame-free, educational podcast, and to help you talk smart and fuck smarter. So without further ado, here's the trailer.
I'm Nicoletta.
And I'm Simone.
And together, we're Sluts and Scholars.
Every Thursday, we drop a new episode and probably your pants.
Our guests range from Nina Hartley to exes and Dita Von Teese to sexual trauma therapists.
So join us weekly to talk smart and fuck smarter.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.